Welcome back to You and the Law here on AM 650. I'm Sterling Fox, joined in studio by lawyers Joe Murphy and Scott Stanley from Murphy Battista LLP here in Vancouver. Gentlemen, this has been a fascinating conversation. Scott, before we go into some of the really tough cases that you both have handled over the years, can you give us an address, an email address, where anyone listening to the broadcast right now who wants to get in touch with you or Joe and the firm can write?
Yeah, they can send it to me, Stanley at murphybattista.com.
Okay, Stanley at murphybattista.com. Thank you, Scott. Gentlemen, just a few minutes left in our opening program, and it's great to have this opportunity to talk to you, and I've learned a whole lot, and I'm looking forward to learning a whole lot more. You're specialists in the area of personal injury law, long-time practitioners. Joe, we're talking ICBC cases by and large here. You identified that as being approximately 70% of the volume of work you carry. Talk to us about some of the extraordinary cases that you've had to go up against ICBC acting for a client.
Well, Sterling, one of them that comes to mind is a case of a young girl with her learner's license driving her boyfriend's car across a set of railway tracks in Vancouver, BC, hit by an approaching rail train and dragged 582 feet down the track, not because the train was going fast, but because it was a very long, loaded train. She was driving, boyfriend beside her, boyfriend owned the car, and that case went to court. Her brain injury wiped out her memory of anything that happened around the accident. Did
the boyfriend survive, Joe?
Yes.
That's extraordinary right there, isn't it?
And explained that she unexpectedly just drove in front of the train and there's nothing he could do.
Right.
The jury found him 90% at fault for the accident, and the Court of Appeal upheld the 90%, and the Supreme Court of Canada upheld the 90%. And as a result, a substantial amount of money was recovered for her, which she needed for her care costs. She was never going to work again. Another case I acted...
So, I'm sorry to interrupt, but and it's just the legal point here, I guess. It was his vehicle.
His vehicle.
He was a licensed driver. She was a learner.
Yes.
He was giving her a driving lesson. And she drove onto the train tracks and got nailed by a train, and they said he should never have put her in that situation. Is that the 90%
or
of
he
fault?
should have done something to prevent the car, which had stopped, from rolling forward into the path of the freight train.
Okay. And the young woman in question was at least able to be sufficiently compensated so that she is, to this day, being cared for?
She recovered 90% of the value of her claim, which was enough to do that. And that was a tough case, because it was like a single vehicle accident.
And all the way to the Supreme Court of Canada.
Yes. Second case I did more recently was a young girl riding a motorcycle clipped by one of 6 oncoming motorcycles. And we sued all 6 motorcyclists approaching. We needed to recover damages against more than one of them to pay her claim. The trial involved myself and a junior lawyer in the firm. There was 12 defense counsel acting for the 6 motorcyclists, and we recovered an award against all of them, so that my client again was able to fully collect her damages. She was a professional who was never able to work again after the accident.
And desperately needed the funds as a result. Right.
Yes.
Scott, how about you? What anything jump to the front of your mind in terms of those cases that will never go away?
I think the toughest case I did was it represented this fellow that had a brain injury, and ICBC, of course, said that he didn't. And he was a dad, had 3 young kids, a wife that stayed home to look after those kids, and he had to, after his accident, he missed half a day of work, and then he went back to work. And he did that job for 5 years because he had no choice. He was trapped. And then about a month before the trial, he basically had this revelation. Says, he quit his job. And of course, ICBC said, well, he quit his job just to make it look bad before the trial. And the reality is he quit his job because he said, I can't let the jury or a judge think that I can do this for the rest of my life. I can't. Mm-hmm. And it makes a lot of work for the lawyer. It's a tough case at that point. But he was right. What we did is we went and we talked to all the people we worked at, and he worked on these construction crews, and he just kept being bounced from one crew to the next, and he was actually on his last legs. He was on his last crew. and they were about to get rid of him. And, you know, it just made more of a story to tell, but once you found out the story, the jury accepted it and they compensated him. He got lots of money. So they believed it. But that was the toughest case I can think of in recent memory.
Interesting. And of course, the insurance company's job is to make it as difficult as humanly possible for you to succeed at every step of the trial, every step of the process, right?
For sure, for sure.
That's an adversarial process. It's not a tea party.
Right. And you said earlier, and I don't know whether this was on air or not, but you said, and this is important, insurance companies react best to fear. If you can induce a little fear into an insurance company, perhaps with the help of a good lawyer, they're going to react a little more sharply, and perhaps a little more promptly.
Well, I don't think an insurance company and their defense lawyer has ever agreed with anything I've said. That just doesn't happen. But what you have to do is you have to get them fearful that what I'm saying could be accepted by a judge or a jury. That's the only thing that they respond to is fear. It's the only thing it's the thing that I respond to mostly. So.
Interesting stuff. Well, now, Scott has already given us his personal email address. If you have been listening to the program and have some thoughts or perhaps some questions for either Joe Murphy or Scott Stanley or their colleagues at Murphy Battista, the address again, Scott, is?
Stanley@murphybattista.com.
Murphybattista.com being the company website. I highly recommend a visit. This is an excellent firm with a great reputation. And Joe and Scott, really a pleasure to meet you both. Thank you for coming in. And I'm already looking forward to our next occasion.
Thank you, Sterling.
It's been great, gentlemen. This is The Law on AM 650. See you next time.